And we are live, Husker post game. I'm Zach alongside Chris, and I've been waiting to say this for so long, and I'm finally get to say it. The Huskers opened up a can of whoop ass tonight and did a job. It was awesome to see. Initial thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, like Frost said, they finally put it all together, and people made plays, and you know, it's what they could be, and as good of a win as it is, it's just I think a lot of Husker fans just sit back and just think, man, like we could be easily should be a 4-win team right now, possibly even a 5-1 team right now, but. At the same time, those struggles in those games, that Illinois, that those close losses, I mean, they push you to keep working hard and keep getting better and and then this is the product. So Nebraska needed to win today. The way they won, you know, just solidifies I think in everyone's mind and hopefully in their own that they can compete with any left on the schedule this year.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing is that the way they won today is something because, look, that Northwestern team is inexperienced. They're not very good. I mean, it's shown throughout the year. Michigan State rolled over them. Every team has kind of had their way with them besides a couple bad games, bad teams that they have played. So that's not a good team. But anytime you beat a team by 49 in your own conference, I mean, it's about as impressive as you can get from that game. You had the rushing. You hit deep plays in the passing game. You also saw some of the progression passing game, pass blocking and run blocking. Biggest difference in the entire game. Everything was wide open. The changes they made on the O-line for that game proved out to be big. Saw Newly in the middle. He was moving people. And you got Big Teddy on the outside, and he did a fantastic job. I thought Turner even looked better on the right side there. The pockets for Martinez were fantastic. That's something that you just don't see very often from this team in the Scott Frost era. And I think that it's shown that they're hammering out these issues they've had, and the team's starting to make those changes. And just like you said, and I know Greg said it last week when I was on here with him, the team is close. And when they put it all together, this is the kind of product you get. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the defense because I mean they did what they've been doing all year tonight. I mean, just great play. I mean, Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner. I mean, the D line just blowing up plays. I mean, the fumble recovery. Instead of going down, instead of being up 28-14, that fumble and whatnot. So I don't want to take too much away from the defense, but I mean, I think a lot of the game tonight was on the offense, right, and what they could do and could they progress and. As you alluded to with the offensive line, the changes that we saw. I mean, Ross said at the beginning of this week he wants to see them get nasty and he wants to see holes for the running backs to run through, and there were holes. And I think one thing I just really wanted to hit on is like welcome to the show, Jacquez Yant. I mean, holy crap! I mean, the dude is he's a fridge and just rumbling down the field. I mean, stiff arming dudes and. I mean, what a great asset to have at running back. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought the offense passed the test tonight. A couple of those deep balls. Obviously, Martinez did everything that he needed to do in about a half and a half of that third quarter, and he was done obviously. So the offense passed the test, and it was fun to watch from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, it's always good when you cover the over by yourself. You know you did something right. And yeah, I mean the team just rolled like you mentioned, yeah. And I know the broadcaster kept saying it. He's so like gracious and smooth. Like he hasn't really, he's kind of reading through his blocks and stuff, and that's something he's going to learn. He's patient right now, but sometimes you need that just take the ball and ram into some people. He'll learn that along the way, but he was powerful. It's tough to take him down. That stiff arm. I even saw you tweet it out, the stiffy. He had it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was impressive. Ramir Johnson still ran it really well. I thought that all those little things that they got in the offense with motions and misdirections, everybody's wondering, over the past few weeks, you haven't really seen it work a ton, but you're seeing what they're trying to do. And now when you see it all come together because the O-line, the exterior blocks on the outside from the receivers and tight ends were actually done perfectly, now you see what happens. And everybody's been wondering, where's the Scott Frost offense? There you go. 680-something yards against a Big Ten opponent. Like, there you go. That's exactly what you wanted to see. And I think it puts the Huskers, Frost talked about the confidence the team was, they were still a confident bunch at 2-3. You saw it tonight. And I think that it kind of just sets up for a huge showdown with Michigan next week, because Michigan's as confident as they get right now. They just went in to Camp Randall and blew them out. So it sets up for a big-time matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Michigan is the best team that we've played all year. Personally, better than Oklahoma. I thought Michigan State was a pretty darn good team, and I thought we played them pretty well. But I do think Michigan is definitely the best team. Their quarterback's really good. Their defensive line is really fast, and it's going to be a test. But I think that that Nebraska has a great chance to go in and get a win. I mean, being at home at night, it's on ABC. I mean, building off this game, but it's absolutely going to take a game like tonight for them to be able to do that. But I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be the one game that I get to go back for this year, so I'm really excited to be in the stadium and see it. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about going to that game too if I wasn't busy with other things. I'm actually going to the Alabama A&M game next week down in College Station. But, when you kind of look at – I see 657 total yards is what the final mark was. I had it down, but I totally forgot it. 8.1 per carry, though. That's the important thing. And you just saw the holes. I mean, like I said, I think they ran behind that left side. They trusted them to be nasty in the opportunity that they got to start. And they showed it. They were just carving out everything. And then you had I love the tight ends coming across in that zone, concept where they're coming in and they're kicking out the outside guy and allows that tackle to move in and kind of set that hole up. In Northwestern, I talked about it after the Michigan State game. They had 4 returning defensive guys, one of the most inexperienced groups as far as in the Power 5 in the entire basically in the entire country, but I think in the Power 5 they are the least experienced group, and it showed, and it continues to show throughout the season for them. Offensively, I thought they hit a couple shots. Taylor Britt gets burned on a double move, but I think it's showing what the Husker defense is transitioning to. They're kind of up on the line. They're basically saying beat us deep. They're fine with giving up that because you see how many 1-yard plays, negative plays the opposing offenses are getting in recent weeks because the Husker defense is just flying to the football and they're trying to create those negative plays. So, sometimes it leaves your corners out to dry when you're playing the cover 2 or you're playing man and you're up there pressing. That's going to happen. I mean, but you're fine with that with how much this defense has improved and been causing 3-and-outs, turnovers. They've just been doing it all. You saw pass rush tonight. Tanner and Nelson both have a sack. Doman has a sack. It's quite a sight to see, and it's really nice for Husker fans to see the product finally all work in one game, and that's the important thing. But I think you're starting to see the culture changes too, and just everything is starting to come together. Greg mentioned it last week with me. He said it's coming together. Just be patient with it, and I know Husker fans don't want to be, but it really is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the pass rush tonight was excellent. I think they had maybe 4 sacks, but it very well could have been closer to 6 or 7. They were just a half step away, and I mean, some of those were pass rushes where the quarterback just had to get rid of it, and then the ball just wasn't even close, or it was way too short of a sticks to even be effective. So I thought the pass rush tonight was great. I thought that a couple of the delayed blitz. I mean, the one JoJo came off on, I mean, he disguised that so well. I mean, so hats off to the defensive coordinators and the linebacker coaches that are helping those guys out, and obviously the players. And I thought the defense played a great game overall. Other than that, I mean, we've been harping on special teams, and I thought special teams was an A tonight. We had mainly touchbacks on the kickoffs. Colt did not miss a single PAT. And the one punt we had in the entire game was an 85-yard punt. uh,
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous. You see a 7-yard punt last week, and then you see a nice 85-yard punt. Yeah, special teams was great. I didn't think they really had to do much in that game, but look, they caught the punts, little things. I noticed Oliver Martin came up, snagged that punt in traffic. I mean, that's 20, 25 yards. Frost was talking about in the post game last week. The hidden yards Nebraska costed themselves in the Michigan State game by not just going up and catching punts. There's a little bit of a change there. You're starting to see the changes. The shakeup on offensive line is another change, and things are starting to look better. I mean, I totally agree with you, though. The defense pressure was great all night. There's a lot of times where Helinski was throwing either getting hit or he was just kind of throwing it into the ground, which may as well have been a sack. So a lot of good things. I see this comment right here. Option game is fantastic. You see that wide receiver motion. It worked out really well. You know, Martinez on that big play from Betts, he did fantastic to get rid of it right away because he saw there's two defenders inside, and if he held it longer, it was just going to make those blocks on the outside tougher. So just get it in the speedster's hands, get it in the athlete, Xavier Betts, and he just rumbled down the sideline. But, yeah, there was no quit in Nebraska either as far as they kept their foot on the gas the entire time, except at the very end once it was 56-7. But you like to see that. And I think that's one thing that Frost has been harping on. And I know that Frost, he was that way at UCF. He's always been that way. Keep it on because you can continue to get better. And that's what the team did tonight. In all areas, they were a lot better. Everybody getting runs. I like to see Stepp get in there. You know, I know he's kind of lost the carries, especially to Yant and Ramir Johnson, but he came in there. He ran hard too. You know, a guy that's celebrating with his teammates. He's not just taking this bad. So that's a testament to the culture that Frost is building there.
Yeah. It's kind of a mystery where Stepp's gone, but I was happy to see him get in there and get some carries and run hard. I thought Martinez in the option game has looked great. That one you're talking about to Betts, I had just watched that before I jumped on here with you. And, I mean, the play fake was great. And like you said, I mean, it was just, he didn't even take any steps. He got the snap, he play faked, and then boom, the ball was out of his hands and it was in Betts. And you had Volkolek pulling out. Volkolek hit that DB, and then it was just Betts just, I mean, beat the linebacker to the hole, and he was just gone. He's so dang fast. I mean, that was beautiful. One other just small play I thought was nice to see out of Martinez that he hasn't, you know, maybe thrown that well in the past. It was I don't even remember when it was, but it was a nice, just quick pass to Levi Falk, and he just got him the ball really quick, you know. And Falk had one-on-one coverage out there, and he was able to make a move and pick up the first down. And it was just nice to see Martinez just get the ball out of his hands and get it to him quick. So I think maybe some of those things are starting to click a little bit more with Martinez, and hopefully that sets him up for success the second half here of the year.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best thing to do. Just get it to the receiver, even if he's only 3 yards out there. Let him work after the catch. I mean, it's what they're going against corners, usually smaller people. Just let them push forward, get a couple extra yards instead of surveying the field sometimes. But a couple of the key stats that I saw besides the special teams that we were talking about, 11 different receivers for the Huskers tonight. Testament to that game being 56-7. A lot of guys getting in the game and moving around. But only 4 penalties for 19 yards, couple false starts, but a couple of those were when the backups come in. Communication's not as good. But overall, it was just fantastic to see them, you know, finally put all of that together. And I'm not saying it's, you know, 100% the Huskers are going to be fine the rest of the year now, because you got to continue to work. Now is when the hard part of the schedule comes in with Michigan. And then you go on the road to Minnesota. Who knows what Minnesota is? But you know they're scrappy, and it's a road game in the Big Ten. And then you start to get into a tougher part of your schedule. I mean, who knows? Michigan runs a similar type of offense to, you know, what Nebraska has seen in the Big Ten so far with Michigan State and Northwestern. They want to run the ball. They got a 2-headed monster back there, and they like to run play action off that and take their shots down the field. And that's why the game fell apart for Wisconsin today. It took a couple shots, got a couple touchdowns there late. But overall, I think Michigan's a bit hyped up. But, you know, they're finally winning. So they're hyping themselves up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nebraska has to beat Minnesota and Purdue, right? Those are the two teams that they're gonna have to beat those two, and then they're gonna have to steal one from someone else. Whether it be this weekend, I mean, it'd be great if this weekend could be the first one they steal. Other than that, I mean, watching Wisconsin today, man, I think they have a great shot at beating Wisconsin this year. Iowa's really good.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa's really good, but at the same time, I mean, that score, I don't even, Tagovailoa just fell apart in that game. A lot of interceptions, 7 turnovers. That's what's going to happen. That's going to be the final score if that type of 7 turnover performance happens. But, you're looking at the last couple of years how Nebraska's played against Iowa and the style Iowa plays, it's typically not going to blow you out as long as you don't make mistakes. So, Nebraska plays mistake-free football and doesn't turn over the ball. You expect that to be a 4-quarter game right there and down to the end like it's been the last couple of years. Wisconsin, you talked about their issues. Maybe Ohio State turned a corner today. I don't know. They looked really, really good. That's probably the one team that I would say, that's a really tough matchup. But as far as how Nebraska matches up with Michigan, with Iowa, with Wisconsin, a lot better now because they're physical on both lines, and you're seeing the defense has been playing outstanding. If the defense plays like that, I mean, they're going to be in every game.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just decently clean and disciplined football. That's what Iowa. That's what the type of brand of football Iowa does, right? I mean, is typically Iowa has never really blown people out. They're even down at halftime sometimes, but they're always just in it, and they're disciplined and they find a way. So I think Nebraska, like you alluded to today, with the very small amount of penalties they have today, if they can kind of keep mimicking that's going to keep them in games alone. I don't even know if they had a penalty in the first half of today's game. I think a lot of them came towards the end of the game. So I mean, they must have worked hard on practice, and I think the focus was there tonight too. So I mean, going back to the culture and whatnot, it's a lot of focus, because I think we have athletes and guys to get the job done. But just that leadership and that focus and just going out and doing it was nice to see.
Yeah, it'll be nice for Greg Austin to get a week off from a lot of hate too, because the offensive line makes some good strides this week, and hopefully, it's a sign for the rest of the season. We got another question here. Last time you saw Nebraska play a game this flawless, man, I don't know, because that was dominant every area for the entire 60 minutes. It's really hard to find a game like that.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, in the Frost era, I hope I've witnessed a game like this in the Frost era. I don't think.
No.
It would have to be probably back, maybe even 5 or 6 years ago when
Yeah.
it played this well. Because I mean, Nebraska put up the most points tonight that they've put up in the Big Ten, I think.
Yep.
I mean, so
and the second most rush yards they put up in a Big Ten game.
Right.
And then the defense gives up 7 points. So it's really hard to say, it's really hard to find a game like where Nebraska played that good, but dominant from start to finish. And, I think it shows how much talent they have and where this team could take the rest of the season. I think that's what Frost is trying to teach the guys, that despite a 3-3 record, there's a lot of season, a lot of pride down the stretch here. You go ahead and you battle through the rest of the season and finish 7-5, 8-4. It's trending in the right direction. You got to take that as a big step, especially, no matter how the season finishes. I think Nebraska is still going to kick themselves a little bit with how the Illinois game, the Michigan State game, even the Oklahoma game. And these losses are just so tough. But at the same time, man, you finish the rest of the season with 1 or 2 losses somewhere in there. That's a damn good year. I know it's not what Husker fans are always looking for, 10-2, and they want to be back in the national conversation, but they'll get there if they continue to make strides like they did today.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was really, I thought Nebraska was going to win today, right? But I mean, I don't, I don't think anybody could come out and be like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen today. So I mean, it was just really refreshing to see them put everything together, and just the effort, just just guys playing hard and playing with pride, and finishing plays, and picking each other up. I mean, the Prista made that 85-yard punt, and you see Heinrich celebrating with him. You saw Damian Daniels, I mean, a defensive lineman celebrating with him. So just stuff like that is just really nice to see.
Yeah, I think that's what something that stuck out to me. What Greg said from last week. He's around the team very often. Huskers online, and he was talking to me about how proud these guys were to be Nebraska football players. And he said he hasn't really seen that since he started covering the team more closely. And, I've been watching the games and I'm starting to see it. And then, today it's just, you see it because they continue to play. The score is 49-7, and you saw that defense flying around. You still saw some of the starters out there making plays. Like, it just shows that they are proud and they're trying to prove something the rest of the year. And I think that's awesome. And I think I'm going to give the credit to Frost and the staff because I think they really have instilled that in these guys. And hopefully it's a sign to turn around. I mean, you like to see that because that is definitely something you need, with a rich tradition like Nebraska.
Yeah, it was. Again, I mean, Frost. I listened to him a little bit in the post game conference, and I mean, he seemed relieved. He just seemed at the same time just like, just kind of just wanting to come out and say this is what we can do. This is what I see in practice, and this is what I've been kind of trying to tell you guys. Just we haven't been doing it, But he was just, you could tell he was really proud of them, and I'm sure the locker room was a fun spot to be tonight after the game.
Yeah, I was texting my dad and grandpa during the game, and they were. Did you see Frost's halftime interview?
Yeah, he was kind of like, we're not doing very well.
Yeah, he was like, I'm pissed off. I'm gonna go chew him out a little bit. And my dad and grandpa texted me, and they were just they were noting that, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, he's expecting perfection. It just kind of makes me go back and think about it. And I'm like, Frost really is. I mean, you really got to like what he's doing, but that's something right there because they play a perfect half and everything's looking good. And he could easily be like, yeah, we played fantastic, hoping to keep it going. But he was pissed about some little things. And I think that's a testament to, what he expects from this team. Because like you said, he talks about how they practice and how they can be this good, but they just haven't done it until tonight. But now can you continue it? You have 6 games left in the season, in the regular season. And there's 6, not all of them are tough, but it's Big Ten slate, and it's a tough road. I mean, what is it, a top 10 schedule the rest of the way? Like, it's tough.
Yeah. It is. It is really. I mean, the schedule this year is rough, but they gotta scratch and claw to get those 6 wins, and they're fully capable of it. I think they're capable of getting 7 wins if they continue to play at this level, or maybe even a higher gear. But there's just nothing. There's nothing given in the Big Ten, or even in college football. Sometimes like it used to be anymore. You could always write off a couple games that are wins. And Nebraska would get those. Well, you got 1, 2, 3 wins preseason. You got these 3 wins, and then they're going to win these 4 games, and that's 7 wins right away. And it's just not like that anymore. So they got to continue to build on this and find ways to compete. But I think they got the pieces, and the main piece is Adrian Martinez. I gotta keep giving him praise, man, because he's taking so much crap. He's playing his ass off, dude. So fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just – I think they're instilling the right things in these guys. I think they're really getting them playing the right way. And Frost has made that a priority, and you're starting to see it. And I think that's exactly what the team needed because there hasn't been as much structure the last couple of years. And structure is the key. And like you said, college football, I think the talent gap is decreasing. as far as between teams lower in the conference and teams that are up there at the top. And I think with that talent gap decreasing, it's really coming down to coaching and dumb things during games, stupid penalties, stupid turnovers. It's starting to become a more evened out game. In a sense, there's a couple teams that are a little bit different. Right now, Alabama and Georgia are different. They are. But besides that, who knows who else is different? Oregon goes down today. I mean, you've got teams like Iowa looked really, really good, but they struggled with Colorado State the week before. Things are starting to even out. Texas A&M's a disaster now, and they were supposed to be a top team with all this talent. It's starting to even out, and I think that's where coaching, culture, all this stuff is coming in, and that's why I like the direction, of the Husker football program, regardless of the 3-3 record. Like Frost said, they were 0-0 heading into today. Looked fantastic, played fantastic.
Yeah. The landscape of college football is crazy. I mean, you had four top 10 teams lose today, and I mean, the past few weeks there's been not only upsets, it's just been there's been really close games with top teams and like a Bowling Green beating like Minnesota and like just some weird upsets. So it's just it's different. With Nebraska, I think they're finding something with some of the local kids they have right now, which is great to see. I mean, specifically at linebacker, I mean those Nebraska kids at linebacker now are tearing it up between Reimer, Heinrich. I mean, Reimer was a walk-on.
Yeah,
he could possibly play in the NFL. So you have Reimer, Heinrich, and then who's the other kid from Nebraska at linebacker?
I forgot his last name, but I know you're talking about. I saw him flying around the field today.
Crap. Well, Gifford was in there late at the end.
No, those kids, they're playing outstanding. Huge credit to Barrett Ruud. I think he's probably the Huskers' best position coach this year because that was the one position group that Husker fans were like, I don't know about this one. It doesn't look great. But he's done a fantastic job. I mean, those guys fly around, and I did not expect that from them. I expected them to be sound linebackers, but I never expected them to fly around like they do. Like Reimer looks so fast out there. And so same for Heinrich. They're both doing fantastic. It's a credit to them. The safeties are flying down. They're playing in the box too, and that D line is really holding their own. They're not letting opposing offensive lines get a push. I mean, Northwestern today had a couple deep passes, and that backup running back they had, the bigger guy, he was running well, but that was it. A couple passes, and then besides him, nothing. And that team they had no idea what to do.
Yeah, they didn't really have an answer. A couple of those passes, like I said, I mean, it was 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. I mean, and they were throwing to a guy that was, 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. They just didn't have anything, and that's the coverage. I mean, locking down guys, and then just the pressure. So I mean, the people on a really high level right now, and it's really nice to have that to lean on. It just sucked. It's such a luxury to have a defense, that you could call it's maybe it's fourth down and you're close to the 50 and maybe you go for it because there's a good shot that your defense could come up with a stop for you. So it's just a luxury to have them playing at the level they're playing at right now.
Yeah, and even when that defense doesn't get any true pressure or a quarterback hit, they're collapsing the pocket so well. The pocket just shrinks, and that's why Helinski today was back there. He looked comfortable for a second, and all of a sudden it collapsed. And while no one was going to get the sack, that's where you just dump it down for 2 yards. Reimer's right there, or Doman's right there, and it was nothing. It was a punt for Northwestern. But I think it's important what you said about college football. I think the landscape is changing, and right now it favors the home teams big time with the crowds back into it. You're starting to see that energy in stadiums that you didn't get to see because of COVID. So that's where, advantage Huskers next week because they get that home crowd. They're going to be pumped up for that game. And that's the biggest thing that I've noticed watching all this college football. Kentucky beats Florida today because of that crowd. I think Florida had 6 or 7 false starts. They had only like 2 or 3 just heading into that game on the year. And that's the crowd. That's just noise. And all of it's just it's affecting opposing teams so much right now. So hopefully, you and the rest of the gang who go up to the game next week, you bring the energy, because it's going to be a tough environment for Michigan. And if they can start fast, it's going to be tough for Michigan. But that's the key, starting fast, limiting the mistakes. They did that today. Going to need that big time next week. Anything else you got?
No, it was just it was fun to watch from the beginning to the end. What a fun game to be at if you were there tonight. The fourth quarter lights looked really, really cool. I liked what they did with that. And, I think they got a week to build on this and turn their focus to getting maybe a top 10. Michigan will undoubtedly be top 10 after all the teams that lost today. So they could possibly upset a top 10 team at home. And, I mean, how awesome would that be on ABC in primetime?
Yeah. Final score prediction. Michigan, Nebraska, if you have to give it right now, early in the week.
Oh, man, I didn't even thought about that. Let's do 20. Let's do Huskers 24 to 20. We win.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines. I was thinking 31-24 Huskers. I just love the home crowd right now. And it may seem biased, but I really think that the home field advantage, and I think if this team puts it all together, limits the mistakes next week, you're going to see a team that is going to have a ton of energy out there.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it.
But that's a final from today, 56-7, Nebraska, 427 rushing yards, 657 total. We saw 8.1 yards per carry for the Huskers. The offensive line was pushing people around. Special teams improved. We saw an 85-yard punt, and the Huskers saw a walk-on, Yaquez Yant, dominate the game for a little bit. So a lot of things looking up for the Huskers heading into next week against Michigan. Can't wait to see it. Thanks for joining me, Chris.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks, Zach.